So, Ron March, thank you. We appreciate you. And again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bev. I enjoy being here because I learn as I teach and or speak. I learn myself, so I look forward to it also. So let's start out and give them a good presentation. I got some good information tonight in regards to voting. What happened yesterday? Okay. But if you have do you have any questions or anything?
Yeah. Do you have an update on about the human rights issue that has been going on in Detroit?
At this time, I do not have any new information. I know they were waiting on the ladies to come back from Geneva.
Okay.
They made the presentation in New York, but they also was going to Geneva. So that's a waiting process, and that's where we are right now. Yeah.
And I'm starting to hear and see more about human rights, where before it was all civil rights, and I'm starting to, hear more about the human rights. So the message is definitely getting out there.
Right on. And I would like to add that there's a lot of people in the United States, black people, that are working for freedom. And I think it is a thorn in the side of Washington. But I've learned since the last time I talked with you, Bev, that there is a cadre, let me call them a cadre, of individuals. We call them Uncle Toms, Uncle Remus, Jacqueline, all the ugly names. But we have a breed of quote-unquote Negroes among us that's causing chaos in our ranks. And let me clarify that by saying that, hold on, Wally, I need hold on, Bev.
Okay.
I need to plug my battery in, and it don't look like I brought my cable. And I know your cable will fit if you can find it. Yeah. Bev, if I go out, it's because the battery is gone, and
okay.
I don't have mine. Gotta find a power source. Is
it another way if you was to go out? Can I call you on another number?
Yep. Yes, but you don't have to because I'm looking at the cable coming right now.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So we're gonna plug it in right now. All right. Yep. Now we have a cadre, Betty, Bev, of individuals who have always been against us, because they are being favored by the white society. So no matter how we argue, fight, cuss, Adam and whatever, they are being taken care of by their, what can I say, their acts against us as revolutionaries or as of sovereigns trying to get to our natural status.
Okay.
So, and the system picks them by their deeds. You dig it?
Right.
What they do, they can understand it. Now, they can come on the air as they are today. I got so tired of listening, but I got a different ear now. But I got tired of listening to Al Sharpton, and looking at our local people. They just whining and whining. What happened to the Democrats? We got to stick together. I mean, all the conversation is the same old rhetoric that we hear every time. But I think more people are waking up to the BS, and at the same time, they are realizing that their only alternative is not to go to the polls at all. Okay? Now, if you can understand, Beth, that this corporation belongs to Europeans. The Europeans have a major problem with their corporation, a tremendous problem with their corporation. have any legal citizens to work the corporation. Now think about that for a minute, what I just said. They was only given a charter to organize, set up businesses, work the businesses, and pay us for being on our land. Take the profits, don't get me wrong, they would get their profit out of it, but at the same time, they would pay us for being on our land. There were programs set up in our history, and I'm talking about black history, that would establish that. The Europeans in power today, they know this information. But what they did, since we had the meeting, I talked to you once before about the meeting of 1774. I'm going to say that that meeting, as I read it, was not, I had the facts. No, I had the knowledge, the information, but I didn't have the facts. The facts were the blacks held the meeting, and they were throwing other blacks out of the indigenous profile, quote unquote, the Moorish American profile. Now that sounds a little confusing, but when I heard it, it hit me like a brick. So let me explain it real quick. Number one, there are two countries, two corporations, two entities on this continent. There is America and there is United States. I'll say it again. Two entities, America and United States. We are Americans because we were born here. They had to have papers to be here, which makes them naturalized citizens to be a member of United States. Paperwork. None of our ancestors have ever had paperwork. No one has ever asked us for paperwork because we belong to the land. We are natural Americans. Quote, Moorish Americans. Moorish Americans. From that base, you can become anything you want. You can become Chinese, pick any nationality you want. But you have to establish the fact that you are first Moorish American. Why? Because nothing that United States does pertains to you.
It all pertains to the corporation.
Yes. Yes. Now, a corporation... Go ahead.
But what about the citizens of that corporation?
All right. The corporation, any corporation has the ability, they have the right to set up the jurisdiction of their corporation. That's why you have to have corporation papers. In the corporation papers, you have to explain who you are and what you're doing and who you expect to serve while you're in this corporation. When the United States of America incorporated in 1871, said that the citizens or the beneficiaries of that corporation were 14th Amendment citizens. Who are they? I'll ask you, Ben. Who are 14th Amendment citizens?
The European, the whites?
No.
No?
No. 14th Amendment citizen, see, in that same 14th Amendment, they also said that you had to be born or naturalized in the United States. So we were born in the United States, so we assumed that they were talking to us as Moorish Americans.
Mm-hmm.
The naturalization of that clause, of that amendment, stated that all Europeans that come in had to have paperwork, so they had to be nationalized. here. If any European shows out, they can be deported if they choose to go that route and be deported back to where they came from. China, if a Chinese mess up, he can be deported to China, that type of thing. But if you and I mess up, there's no place to send us but to jail. You understand? Because we are from here. And they are only doing what the treaties and the Constitution or the contract say, that if you commit a crime, you have to pay for that crime, and you have to pay for that crime you have to pay for that crime in the jurisdiction where you committed the crime. So you're very quiet, so I know you're not really getting it.
No.
All right. Here's something else that might help. All Moors are black. Period. All Moors are black. But all blacks are not Moors. Because we're talking about a state of mind. If you choose to follow your ancestors and you're black, you are a Moor. But if you choose to follow your ancestors and you think that Chinese, or you got some Chinese in you, or French or whatever, you can do that. It's no big deal. Every Moor is black. If you are a Moor, by definition, you are black. However, if you're black, you're not necessarily a Moor, because you can be what you want. So let's take that same concept and go back to the citizens of United States. The 14th Amendment was put into United States in 1868 in order to engulf by acquiescence all the people on the continent. But nobody asked to be into that United States. And no one has sent paperwork to deny the fact that they're not in United States. But the Moors filed paperwork to declare themselves Moorish Americans, which differentiates you completely from United States. So now our nationality is a mental concept, and when you understand what I just said, you can file paperwork to be a Moorish American. And that will alleviate you from all the rules, regulations, ordinances, and all the crap that comes from United States. And
now
go ahead.
When you say file the papers, what papers? What do you file?
There's a process that you have to follow, and I did it today. I completed. No, I'm about 80% completion on my paperwork, and as soon as I finish, I'm going to begin to teach the paperwork. But I'll say to you and everyone listening that we're talking about setting up a trust for yourself, which gives you jurisdiction. See, you can't be out there with no nationality, or you'll become a slave or property to United States. That's where the problem lies. That's why they don't want us to get a nationality, because we will walk away from the plantation. And you can do that mentally rather than physically. When that meeting went on in 1774 that I talked about, 1774 was 2 years prior to the European declaring his Declaration of Independence.
Right.
I'm not sure that those were Europeans that declared it, but I do know they were slaves that declared it, because they were under the jurisdiction of the British. So they were slaves themselves. So how can they declare themselves free? No slave can declare himself free. He has to be free before he can declare himself free. And there has to be a process for him to get free. He can't say, I'm free, and walk off the plantation. You know that don't work. Never will that work. So, what really went on in 1774? What went on in 1776? What went on in 1787? And what went on in 1789? Now, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but I can take my phone. Now I'm gonna show you something, Bev.
Okay.
It's gonna be it should raise your consciousness a bit. I'm gonna use a calculator, and I'm gonna put in 2014, and then I'm going to subtract 400, and now I come up with 1614. You got it?
Yeah.
So where were the blacks according to European history when they told us? Where were we in 1600?
Right, because all we hear about is 1776.
Yes. And better than that, Beverly, there was no United States in 1774 or in 1776. So if we were in bondage for 400 years, who were we in bondage under? Nobody ever asked that question. I know I didn't. They probably would have put me out of school if I'd asked that question.
Right.
Back. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all screwed up. It doesn't tally out.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So now, what really happened? Now, I just read some information that we, and nobody will argue this point, at one time, we as blacks ruled, and the only ones was here on earth was black people.
Right.
Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Yeah.
And they even
All
admit that. They even admit that with Lucy.
Yes.
Remember they?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what we know of ourselves today, we can almost say that whatever year we pick in the past that we were all black, we were fighting each other the same way we're doing today. How did we get in this state of nothingness without fighting each other, jealousy, hatred, trying to get something for nothing, all of that type of stuff? Mm-hmm. Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there was a emperor, not an emperor, what do they call him? A sultan. I'm going to call him a sultan. Muhammad, who at one time, especially during 1700, he was in charge of all the Moors on earth. All of the black Moors on earth came under one jurisdiction. However, a lot of them were crooks. I don't know what percent, but they were doing a lot of devilishment. They got away from their true selves. They were raping, looting, the Barbary pirates, the brutish Moors. There were all types of Moors that were causing havoc on earth. Elijah Muhammad said in one of his readings that the European was created to keep us from fighting each other, to try and bring some peace and tranquility to the earth. But once he got here with his devilish mind, he began to see that why can't he have a piece of this pie, although he doesn't know anything. He can sneak and steal from us all the knowledge and education he needs in order to set up his own system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Now, keep in mind that this information is difficult. I can tell you where we played it yesterday from 6 to 8, and we're going to play it again. It's a DVD by a heavy brother named Asir, Duke of Tears. Asir spelled
Yeah, I know. I know the Duke. Okay.
All right. Okay. He laid out so much information, Bev, that I've been playing that DVD over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it fits. That's the only thing I can say about it. It fits.
Yep.
And when he said it's not that we were not teaching the right information, we just didn't have all of the facts. So I'll fall into that category because what he teaches is not that far from what I teach, but he has so much more information and makes it so much clearer.
Yeah.
That I had to fall in love with the DVD.
Okay.
I'm telling you. All right. So now if we go to that meeting of 1776 and look at it from a new and different light, you will see that the Moors in the meeting were tired of the crooks that were stealing, looting, putting people in slavery, stealing on the waterfront, pirates, all the negatives. They said they are not Moors. That's why I say to you, a Moor is black, but all blacks are not Moors. We got to keep that in mind in the United States today, because we got a lot of blacks that portray themselves as being Moors or being righteous, and is wrong as 10 left shoes. And we have been struggling trying to fight the European, and the bottom line is we are our worst enemy because we are doing to ourselves what we are blaming someone else for. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go back to that meeting, and they said, we're going to take all of our garb away from them so they won't be identified as Moors. We're going to take the teaching of the Moors and deny them a right to teach it. We're going to make them take the fez and the kufis off so that no one will even call them Moors because they're nothing but crooks. And that's what we got to do today. That's what we have to do today. 2 prominent blacks were elected yesterday, one on the Democratic ticket and another on the Republican ticket. And the Europeans are blasting it all over that the Republicans are not that bad because they just elected a new black senator, the first black senator since Reconstruction down in one of the Carolinas. So we're not as bad as those Democrats try to make us out to be. But I'm here to tell you that neither one of them is in your best interest if you are a Moor. That's my point. That's where I'm coming from today. Neither one are in your best interest. All they're doing is feeding the crop so that they will keep the confusion going on those blacks that look like Moors or try and act like Moors because their heads are not on straight. That's the first problem that they have. They don't understand who they really are. And you got to say because you're black, that doesn't make you a Moor because you're black. But you got to be black to be a Moor, but your blackness is not to be a Moor because you're only out for yourself. You're selling out your people every opportunity you get. So how can you even think you are a Moor or consider yourself to be a Moor? You dig it?
Right.
So, I'm getting the echo back over here, man. Yep. So, let's get into today's presentation.
Yeah. Did y'all turn something on or turn something off?
Yep, we turned. It's still echoing.
Yeah.
Andre's here. He's over there. How about now? It's good.
Okay.
How about now, Beth?
Okay, it's gone. Yeah.
You know, you give a brother too much knowledge, he just like to push button. He know he's tough. Tough. Okay, so now let's go back to the day before the election.
Okay.
When all of our Negro leaders, Negro pundits were all over the news, screaming about our ancestors who died so that we would have the right to vote. that their ancestors stood in line in the rain and the snow in order to vote. All of those horrifying pictures of us struggling, trying to be good United States citizens, good 14th Amendment citizens, good slaves. And none of the process of it can free us. None of it. I've been voting. I used to vote. I've been voting all my life. Put it that way. And I have never seen us move anywhere up on the totem pole in order to be self-determined in dictating our own future. As long as we keep letting them give us a name, every 20, 30, 40 years, they give us a new name so that they can identify the old school from the new school. We're almost ready to go back to nigger. Everybody's laughing and giggling about it. So then let's just say they go back to nigger. So now I can hear them rappers saying, yeah, I'm a nigger because I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid. I'm riding this big old ride car. Yeah, I'm a nigger. I'm out there. All that kind of crap. So now everybody wants to be a nigger. You got white people calling themselves niggers. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as long as this process goes on and we have these individuals who are in strategic places, such as Al Sharpton, and I can't name all the blackies, but all of those radio pundits that have an audience every day, Jesse Jackson, the so-called Black Eagle out of New York, that damn, Armstrong Williams, Joe Madison, Eglinton, I heard that punk today talking out of the side of his neck. As long as you have those positions open, we're going to have people striving for those positions. And I know and you know that they better stay into the framework or the wording that is pleasing to the European, or they won't be there very long. The guy on the morning sports show, Stephen A. Smith, slipped about 2 months ago and said something about the tennis girl, and they put him off. They fined him and put him off the air for 2 weeks. Took his 2 weeks' pay. Made some kind of comment. White people make comments all day. Nobody says anything. So my point is, as long as we have those types of people, those positions that the European can create, he can go home and sleep at night because those type of people will do the work. Now we'll go to them jack-legged, lying, dirty-heart preachers. Let's get to them.
Right.
As the brother said, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Their job as teachers, I found out, a seer said that they were in the original pack. I looked up. He told me something, and Ben, write this down and look it up tomorrow.
Okay.
Three badges, and spell out badges, and then put.
You talking about PASS?
No. BADGES. Badges. A badge. Put an S on the end of it. Don't matter.
Okay.
So we're talking about three badges. A Moorish American, and watch what comes up. Now, in that package, it was stated that the preachers were supposed to be given the freedom to teach our people the rules, regulations of the Moorish nation, and give the land back to them that the European was supposed to give up, that he hasn't given up yet. And the European took that whole program and turned it around. He infested the black preacher's mind to go to Jesus and get into your badges is coming in the by and by. And you better not bring up us giving up nothing, because we ain't going to give up a damn thing, but we'll give you the churches and you'll get the money from them so we can make you live good. And 99% of the preachers went for it. He even said one of the biggest sellouts that I did not know, one of the biggest sellouts of that era was a black so-called advocate of freedom, anti-slave guy named Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
I was shocked when he said Frederick Douglass was promised a position by United States to go to Haiti as an ambassador if he would get rid of his black family and go down there with a white woman. And he did it. Now, I can't prove this, but it makes sense because he ruined Haiti, and Haiti's been on the negative list of United States. Haiti, San Domingo, down there with Toussaint Overture, who was a general down there that took the slaves and ran Napoleon's butt out of there. All of that history that we don't know about, and Cuba. United States hate Cuba. Everything in the Caribbean, it looks like they hate those that didn't come into the fold, such as Jamaica and them other places. I can't name them off. You know what I'm talking about. So there was a great divide in 1864 between the Moors that came out of the 1774 meeting and the other Moors that said, go to hell, we're going to get out here and do our thing and get rich and do our thing. You dig? So the Europeans looked at that and said, we can do something with these Negroes. So the first thing he did, he had to label them because they didn't have a country, a flag, a nation, a nationality, or land. We had our land in 1864, America, not United States, America. They didn't take it. We went to war. The first war started by the Iroquois Nation in 1864. I didn't know about that war. That was the beginning of the Civil War because the Iroquois that I told you about fought the Powhatan, which was them blackies who wanted to marry white people. Remember I told you about John Smith and Pocahontas. That's a little story they tell about. So as this brother was running all this information, I'm sitting there saying, oh, my goodness, this is unbelievable. He ran it all. And I'm sitting there saying, whoa. So now here we are in 1864. We got the righteous Moors in the Iroquois Nation, and we got them Uncle Remus Negroes in the Powhatan Nation and beyond. And when I say beyond, we're talking about over on the continent of Europe. There were blackies over there all during this period of time. They were everywhere. There were Scottish blacks. There was Spanish blacks. All kinds of blacks all over the place. This is how the blacks got into Spain because they sent in those albinos and took over them, calling themselves Moors. And then the European put it in the history books that the Moors ruled Spain for 700 years. These were not good Moors. These were not the Moors that were righteous to put another nation under bondage. That's not our way of life. The things we hear and see today in the news, we say, good God, how could somebody do something like that? What kind of person could that be? Well, they come from a different breed than you and I. Because sometimes you got people you can talk to all day, Beverly, and give them all the news and information that you can give them on their Bible. And they still look at you and say, well, yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do what I've been doing.
Right.
Or I don't believe what you're saying. And you're going to waste time, your life, trying to make them see what you see, and they'll never see it because they're living where they want to be. This is another thing we got to take under consideration. They're going to live the way they want to live. Only ones that's going to try and be free are those that are not satisfied with this madness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, between 1864 and 1865, but we got to go beyond 65. So let's jump up to 1875, which was the end of Reconstruction, But we started out with a civil war between black on black Moors, which was in 54. What am I saying? 64. 54.
This is 1854.
54. Yes, I'm sorry. And as soon as I get these books and get in these books, I'm going to give you more information on this. Because they got a book out. It's called, I'm going to call it, because I can't remember the title. I can't remember. Anyway, it's about Noble Drew Ali's father. I think his name was Sam Drew. He had a regiment that fought in the Civil War of 1854. The European used that war to get in position to take over the land, put it that way. I'm sorry to say America. But if you look at what happened between 1864 and 1875, you're going to see a lot of things that happened that when they came out in 55, the European was in charge of everything. You dig it?
Yeah.
Because, number one, I told you, he will tell you now, if you look up, if you put in the computer or dictionary, look up Sinedie. Just put that in. Sinedie. I had never heard of that word. But if you look it up, it's going to be a date. And they're going to say 1861, and they give you the month and the day. Congress broke up and never set a return date for the next meeting, which made the government go defunct. Now think about that. The government to go defunct because they never called for a recession of Congress. So everything, and you'll read it in those papers, everything after 1861 is de facto because it's not really United States of America. Well, it never was United States of America until they filed the paperwork in 1871 and called themselves United States of America, Inc. Do you get it? You see where I'm going with this, Beth?
Yeah. So 1861, that's when Congress, they left, and they never set a date to come back.
Correct.
But then you saying in
10 years later,
1871. Okay.
Yes.
Then that's when so it took them 10 years to get the corporation together.
Yes. And file the paperwork. Yes. Yes. Now, during that 10 years, a lot of things happened, such as 1868, the 14th Amendment, because they knew once they founded a corporation, they had to have workers in the corporation, and they didn't have any. They don't have any today. Real workers, they have de facto workers that were placed there by acquiescence. Now, you try to explain that to someone.
Now, somebody was saying during this time, is this the Confederation of Cherokee when John Drew Regiment?
Yes, John.
Okay.
Yes. Somebody put that in the chat room.
Yes.
Tell them I ordered the book.
Okay.
Ask them do they have the book.
Okay.
I ordered the book. I ordered the book, and I definitely want to read that. I also want to read 10 years.
Is this, let's see, John Drew Regiment of Mounted Rifles by W. Greg Gaines?
Yes. Well, they must have it.
Yeah.
And they must have it. And it's got to be interesting. I hate to say interesting. It's got to be full of history because that was Noble Drew Ali's father. What that's worth. Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they said
Noble
they got the book.
Yeah. And that's come. Have they read it, and was it informative? Did they get something out of it? Or they hear me, they'll put it in there, put it down.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Now, there's another book that he talked about called The 10 Years of Secret Diplomacy. I ordered that baby also. So tell your listeners, I don't know everything. I want them to know that I don't know everything. But when I get it, I sure can tell it when I get it. Mm-hmm. Now they got another good book, Bev. Now what? Listen to this.
Oh, they say they reading it now, Ron.
Okay. All praises due to Allah. I love it. I love it. Okay, now there's another book called The Forgotten Cause, C-A-U-S-E, of the Civil War. When he went to talk about that book, I went and jumped on the internet, Bev, and found the book. Guess how much it cost?
How much?
Take a guess.
$70.
I'd have bought it if it was $70. They want $1,000 for that book.
Oh, they do not want you to read that information.
Yes. 1,000 macaroonies.
The Forgotten Cause of what? Say that name again.
The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War.
Wow.
1,000 macaroonies.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Unbelievable.
$1,000.
$1,000. And it said new or used. They said paperback or hard copy. I'm sorry,
okay.
not new or used.
Okay.
So I went to searching, trying to come in the back door, and I got a lot of little excerpts, but it never got into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
But I don't know. I may try to get a whole lot of people together and get some $10 and try to get that 1,000.
Yeah.
So we need that book. We need that book.
That's true history.
Yes. Maybe I could ask for donations, and once I get it, I'll do a reprint. You know, I'll bootleg it. Let me.
Now, isn't that against the corporation law? You can't.
I don't care. You only it's illegal only when you get caught.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, unbelievable. 1,000. I looked at it. I said no. I might have paid $100 for it.
Right.
The way he talked about it.
Okay.
1,000? No. All right. So, right in that era, we talking about, take that time span from 1854 to 1875. Whole lot happened. Now, if the United States was founded in 1871, the United States of America was founded in 1871, how in the hell do they have us in bondage for 400 years? And that's only let me do that. They only been in existence. Let me get my calculator out again, man. So we got 2014, and we're gonna.
Someone is saying, is this something that you could use with the UN when you meet with them again? This information.
The answer is yes. That's only 143 years, Beth.
Okay.
That United States of America has been chartered, been in existence.
143 years.
143 years. And between 1875 and 1899 was the worst years of the Moors in the history of the Moors, because the Peckerwood killed everyone they could find. If you had on a fez, they shot you on sight. Now, put that in perspective. The only ones that were allowed to wear the fez were the ones that came out of the Confederation of the Iroquois Nation. And they were the only ones that had a true constitution, because it was called the Constitution of the Confederate Confederate States. And when they came out of the meeting of 1774, they created, and the European will tell you, Articles of Confederation. No United States. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Now here's another little tad he put in there that really made me laugh. When they was talking about voting yesterday, they kept talking about, or they kept mentioning Sojourner Truth, how she was struggling trying to get them out of the South and get them up north. You got it?
Right.
Now, here's the question. If we were brought over on slave ships, put in cotton fields, and she ran away from the cotton fields to free herself as a runaway, how in the hell did she know how to go from Florida or the Carolinas up to Detroit when she ain't never been in the country or land? Where was as the brother said, there was no flashlight, there was no street signs. There was alligators, there was bears, there was coyotes, all kind of crap. And she was making trips, so they say, from wherever she was in the South up north to bring the people to set them free. How is that possible?
And they went across the water to Canada.
The Negroes come up with that crap. And the European used it to their advantage by publicizing it because they knew it was a lie, but it kept the other Negroes in line. So all that they had to worry about was the Moors, and they could shoot them because they had on turbans and feathers and stuff. You can kind of see a picture of what I'm talking about. Now, there was a huge number of mulattoes because the European, in order to get a toehold on us, and you know he's scared of us on sight, so he had to figure out a way to suck up. So he would use his women, and you know how we are as men, can't keep our pants zipped up. So he kept using his woman, and as a result, it was created a whole new race of people. So what they did in 1934, got to follow these timelines. There were so many of them, and they wanted to be free, and they wanted to establish themselves. Plus, the United States knew that the Moors was going to rise again. They knew they hadn't left, because we're coming back today stronger than ever. They created this thing called the Indian. Remember, I told you everything the Peckerwood writes is in hindsight. They told us Columbus called the blacks in the Caribbean Indians. He told us that he was looking for the land of India. So if he had the Moors who were navigators and they done been all over the earth, why would they come west rather than go east to India? That's a question. I'm just throwing that out there. I just thought about that. And they talk about, well, the European thought the earth was flat. Okay. So then he went to get these Moors who had the knowledge to take him where he wanted to go. So he said he was going to India. So if he's going to India, why would he go west rather than go east? And when he got here, so the history says, he called the black folks Indians. All of that is another lie. That's a big fat-faced lie. Now, during all of this transition, we owned and ruled our government from early as 1500, all the way up to 1854 when the war broke out. We ran everything. And everybody that was in office or position was either black or mulatto. And their allegiance was to the Confederation, the Iroquois Confederation, because they was the ones that kept their butt in line. And the Iroquois Confederation was huge, because every time you hear about it, they talk about 5, 10, 15 tribes that was in the Confederation. Okay? So now we're talking about that period between 1775 and 1900. Let's go that route. The name of the game was to get the land, because the European had never owned any land. Never. The Moors always had the land. So they had to come up with gimmicks, shenanigans, and all kinds of different ways to steal the land from the Moors. So I did some research and discovered it wasn't the voting lines that were long and we fought to get to. It was the lines to the registry of deeds that we were trying to get to register our land. Because the Europeans set up rules as they began to take over county from county per county, city per city. He would set up rules that you had to have or show ownership. Well, I'm reading right here, just to give you an example, and I've said this 100 times. Let me make sure I got it here. When I get excited and miss stuff. Here we go. We were very excited and went to work immediately straightening and organizing the investigation. Now, what I'm talking about, Bev, I got an article with people. I found an article that said the timeline of the destruction of 100-year-old Franklin County, North Carolina records. They found boxes and boxes in 2013. Let me read this first paragraph.
Okay.
I am Diane Taylor with the Heritage Society of Franklin County, North Carolina. I want to thank everyone for your involvement and the help that each of you offered us on Friday, December 2013, when the Franklin County management acted upon their decision to destroy the 100-year-old records discovered in the courthouse basement.
Yeah.
This had been a long 7 months, and we were hopeful up to the end that the outcome would be different. So they took them to court to make them stop. I know you have a lot of questions, so here is a timeline of what led to this event. In May, a new clerk of court, you got her name, Patricia, was appointed following the resignation of another clerk. The new clerk, Miss Chasman, soon discovered that the basement had been unopened for some time. Upon opening the basement, we found stacks and stacks of books, boxes, loose papers, legends, and so forth, dating from approximately 1840 to 1960. They were strewn everywhere. There was obvious mold in the back section and evidence of water damage. After investigation, it was revealed that through the years, the basement had been used for overflow of records awaiting retention dates, as well as items deemed unnecessary or non-vital. They were then forgotten. The basement was also used to store old furniture, cleaning supplies, broken or no longer used doors, and whatever else that they could find upstairs. The 2 rooms were in a mess. We could barely open the door and had to crawl over everything to reach the back room. The boiler flooded the basement at one point. It was also discovered that an air-conditioned unit was venting into the basement, causing majority of the mold. Some records had been ruined by mold, but most were completely viable. A quick investigation of records revealed boxes from most every department of Franklin County government. There were items from the court as well as Registry of Deeds, County Finances, Board of Education, Sheriff's Office, County Jail, Election Board, and many others. The lady and the clerk and I spent 3 days, Memorial Day weekend, hauling away trash from the basement. We pulled out trailer loads of baggage, bagged trash, broken furniture, and all of that. I'm skipping a little bit. Over the years, the boxes had weakened from time, carelessness burst, and the basement flooded years ago. Workers repairing the boiler, not courthouse clerks, but workers, retrieved many of the papers and books from the flooded basement and simply laid them on the shelves, trying to save them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm skipping down. Well, this is just one county. We were excited and went to work immediately, straightening, organizing, and investigating, trying to figure out what this was all about. Immediately, we found chattel mortgages from the 1890s, court dockets from post-Civil War to Prohibition, delayed birth certificates, applications were originally supporting documents, from letters from grandma, Bible records, birth certificates, etc. County receipts and original letterhead from businesses long extinct, poll records, books, original schools, roads, and bridge bonds denoting the buildings of the county, law books still on their original paper wrappings, etc., etc., etc. The list went on and on and on. But the ruling from the courts were to destroy the paper. When they did, the people protested, and so one night after business hours, a team came in and carried everything out of the room and left and told the people that it came from the archives of the county that did it, and there's no such department of archives of the county, and nobody can find the records today. Now, this happened in 2013. This is one county. You dig it?
Right.
Now, let's go to it. Let's go to a couple more here. What time is it? 7 o'clock. We can get a break in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dig this. Associated Press. So you can't tell Ron March you making this mess up. Associated Press. Documents land taken from blacks through trickery, violence, and murder. Now, they go into, for generations, black families pass down the tales in uneasy whispers, they stole our land. And this is what I'm talking about, Registry of Deeds. In an 18-month investigation, the Associated Press documented a pattern in which black Americans were cheated out of their land or driven from it through intimidation, violence, and even murder. The United States has a long history of bitter, often violent. Come on now. You know, I ain't the best reader in the world, but you got to work with me. Often violent land disruptions, from claim jumping in gold fields to range wars in the Old West to broken treaties with the American Indians. Notice they call them American Indians. They don't call them United States Indians. Poor white landowners, too, were sometimes treated unfairly, pressured to sell out at rock-bottom prices by railroads and lumber and mining companies. The fate of black landowners has been an overlooked part of this history. I'm saying to you that the land or the long lines of that they claim were election lines, those were blacks trying to retrieve and file paperwork so they could retain their land, because the Europeans set up these rules, regulations, and laws that they had to prove that they owned the land. So the best thing to do is burn down the Registry of Deeds.
Right.
Now you got a problem. Then they had to trick Granny to bring the Bible in. You know, I told you about that in 1956. Bring in that old raggedy Bible, Granny. We're going to give you a brand new one. Grab big old white Bible. Gold trim around the side, red ribbon, and old Jesus, old JC hanging out on the front. Just bring your old one and you get this one free. So that's what happened. A lot of y'all listening got that big old white Bible in your house today. And all you can tell me is you didn't buy it. Somebody gave it to your mama or Granny gave it to you.
Yeah.
So let's take a break, and I'm going to come back and read a couple of these cases where how they took their, all right, besides, let me read this and I'm going. Besides the 107 cases of AP documented, reporters found evidence of scores of other land takings that could not be fully verified because of gaps or inconsistencies in the public records. Thousands and additional reports of land taking from black families remain uninvestigated. Now, remember the lady that got thrown out of the White House because she was trying to do something about it when Obama appointed her Secretary of Agriculture. I'm looking at somebody will tell the chat room to send me that lady's name. She got fired on the highway going home on Thanksgiving to be with her family. They called her on the phone and told her that they needed her to resign. And she said, okay. And then they called back and told her to pull over and use the fax machine in the limousine and resign right now.
Wow.
I want to call her name. I just saw it the other day, but I just can't do it. And I'll also add that the SARA, SARA program was founded under this information that I'm giving you today, because it started with black farmers and then was taken over by Europeans. So let's take a break, Bev. We'll come back and try to rattle them again.
All right.
I'm out of here.
Okay. Well, we shall return in 10 minutes. All right.
Yes, I am. I got a call that the lady's name was Shirley Sherrod.
Okay.
Shirley Sherrod. She was the Secretary of Agriculture under the first term. And they put so much pressure on her. They brought up the Black Panthers. Her husband and her were members of the Black Panther or some civil rights group in the South when she was a teenager or graduate of college or whatever. And they put so much pressure on the president that he finally got rid of her. I'm really trying to show that two things I'm trying to get across. Number one, we are not citizens of the United States. Only by choice if you want to be. And that means if you accept the 14th Amendment acquiescent position that will make you, number one, a second-class citizen, because you can't be a real citizen, or you're going to be a Negro and let them label you as a second-class citizen, and your only rights come under civil rights. You don't have any criminal rights at all. All you have is civil rights. Everything must come under civil rights. That's why they're having a problem. I just read an article, and I think that was the one you sent, Bev, that they were looking at the civil rights position on the case in Ferguson, and they don't think they have enough information to win the case.
For the civil rights. They don't. They got to do the human rights.
Well, I totally agree. But I think we keep looking at a victory. We have to understand or agree what a victory is.
Okay.
All right. Now, when Malice Green was murdered by the police officers in Detroit, the whole city was up in arms, which we can agree on. But once they indicted the two police officers, I consider that a victory. It was over with as far as I'm concerned. I didn't care if they ever went to jail, but they were indicted. And later we found out that those were the first police officers, white, that was ever indicted for killing a black man. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
When the United Nations came and everybody was screaming, oh, they can't do this, they can't do that. I said, stop, think. We brought the United Nations in. That is a victory. Because once you put on the record that you have the power or the organizational sense to bring in another entity to look at these crooks, you got to consider that to be a victory. What else could it be? because you know it's going to be a hanky-panky down the pike. They're looking for ways, as they're doing now in Ferguson, to throw the whole case out. And they may end up doing that once they get all the police officers and the National Guard and the state police and maybe the reserves all in place. They're going to come out and say, damn it, he ain't going to jail, so all y'all can go to hell, and start killing black people.
Yeah.
But try to think right now of the pressure that police officer is going through right now. The thought of him going to jail is enough to make him commit suicide. Now, I know he don't know that he ain't going to jail. They don't have that much sense, because they didn't even want him to be. Listen, to my knowledge, he has not made a statement under oath. He hasn't. When they put in a Freedom of Information Act for him to show what happened that day in his police report, they said it was a total disgrace what the police department sent. A Boy Scout in another county could have filled out the paperwork and sent it in. That's how shabby and how incorrect and out to lunch the paperwork was. So again, it's no love land to be indicted. To be indicted is enough right there to make you go bonkers. Everybody always want to talk about what they gonna do. No, they don't scare me and all. That's bull crap. I got people that got put out of their homes, and we've had clear cases of victory. Clear cases that they could have stayed in the home at least another 2 to 3 years. But the courts decided that they were going to throw them out anyway. So once they threw them out, the pressure was so great on our clients to find a new home, go home and face the wife and the children, move to a new place. All of that pressure was enough for him to say, Ron, we through with it. We going to get another house. I can't go through that again. It's pressure. It's psychological warfare is what they're putting on us. So when we get a victory, it works in reverse. It's the same thing to them. So we cannot keep writing off the fact that the civil rights, if they indict him, that's why they said, and if you recall the case here in Detroit on killing that little black girl.
Right.
What did they say when the first trial went through? Now I know he was nervous as a hyena. Because had I been on that jury, I'd have said convict. You know, I'd have been convict. So he don't really know how the court's going to go. Now, they'll tell him this and tell him that, but he don't know until he can walk outside, smoke a cigarette, and say, I won. Now, when they say, well, we're going to try you again, oh, no, I can't go through that again. So what did they do? The prosecutor said, well, we ain't going to try him again because we don't think we can win it if we try him again. So we're just going to let it go. Now, that's ridiculous. But this is how they play the game.
Right.
And they're playing the game from the rules of 17 and 1800 when they don't have a right to do anything. So everything they've set up since 1871 has been de facto. What does that mean? It's been a monopoly game for them. What does that mean? That means that the problem they had was the citizenships or the serfs or the slaves to run the plantation for the Europeans they did not have. So when they come up with the 14th Amendment citizen, and then they said to the ignorant whites who are dumber than the blacks, if you were nationalized, you are a citizen of the United States. Now that's two different categories of citizenship. How can that be when the original Constitution said everybody was a citizen and God was the ruler over everybody? I can't quote how it went down, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We all have unalienable rights to be free, but they didn't say that in the 14th Amendment. They changed everything in the 14th Amendment and put the power of living in the hands of the Europeans in Washington, D.C. and nobody can see that? Come on, Beth.
But it's kind of like it's kind of like, how do you stop a bully?
You don't have to. And this brother came up with that. And if I ever meet him or get a chance to communicate, I'm going to make him talk about it more. If I ever interview him, we're going to stay right on that. Now, let me say this to you, Bev.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't bragging. I'm just going to say it. If you stay on the path of righteousness and your soul, your heart, your mind knows what's right and wrong. So don't even try to act like you got murder in your heart. You ain't got no murder in your heart. As long as you stay on the path of righteousness, no one else exists. I said that last week when I was talking about the mind. If you're living in your soul and your mind and your spirit, which is all righteousness, no one can touch you. As they say, you can walk through hell with gasoline bloomers on and you won't catch a fire. I know you heard that one before. But, I don't.
But that's hard. I can understand people that is losing their property and losing certain situations. It's hard for them to see that because it looks like the bully is winning.
Yes, it certainly does. But if they had their trust, had the house in the trust, there was no way they could take the house.
Yeah.
This is what went on back in the early days. If you listen to the language of in the books you read, they had something that protected them against all of this outside information that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If the European was so strong, why don't he just line us up and either or line us up and kill us, line us up and put us in a concentration camp, or just get rid of us, put us on a boat, send us back to Africa. So he said.
Mm-hmm.
He can't do that. Now we know he hates us, but he always washes his hands. You never can say that the European did it because he's too shrewd to make it. You see that the nigger did it. That's why they put them blackies up there in front. So you'll look at the blackie and say, "Oh, blackie did it," which did execute. But we don't want to attack the blackie. We want to get to old Peckerwood behind the blackie.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying earlier in a couple of my presentations, we should look at everything through small claims court.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're not going to win every case. You may not win any case, but they have to adhere to your paperwork, adhere to your complaint. They have to serve the other parties to come in. If it's black on black, they don't give a damn because they're going to win anyway. If you do it to a whitey, he still has to come in. And now the courts have got to show that we're fair. You're going to be fair when I just told you. Let's put it this way. Whatever the courts do on that level, it's time for you to become the plaintiff and move to the higher court and sue the lower court. All through small claims court.
Okay.
But see, we don't really want to fight that far. We kind of get comfortable with, and he lets us win every now and then. Just like, look what he did yesterday. He got, correct me if I'm wrong, he got 6 new senators, which means this president, he's the third, I think they said he's the third president in history that both of he went in controlling both the House and the Senate, and now he lost both of them during his term, which is the ugly thing that's going to go on the books. Well, we know what's behind that.
Right.
But the bottom line is, by them doing what they did, they got to keep us in line. So they gave us the Republican nigger from South Carolina as a senator. He'll be all over the news now. Somebody said that Mitch McConnell, I don't know these Peckerwood's position, but I know he's up there high. He ran for re-election in one down south. The black guy got 80,000 more votes in his district than the Peckerwood got. And the Peckerwood that said it suggested that Mitch McConnell announced that the new Republican Party should be taught from this black guy because he's the one got more votes than I got. And Mitch McConnell, is going to be Speaker of the House of some powerful position up there, and Blackie got more votes than he did. Now, you tell me, what's going on here? And
some shenanigans.
Shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would love to hear someone ask that Blackie, will he do anything that's going to support black self-determination, where we can build our own nation and build our own economy? And I guarantee you, he cannot do it. They'll get rid of him so fast, it'll make your head spin.
Remember when the Republicans had the black guy that was the head of the Republicans? They got him when Obama first came in, and then they hurried up and threw him out of there right quick.
You talking about the pizza man from Chicago?
I don't know, but he was the head of the. This guy was the head of the Republican Party. Maybe someone can help me.
Steele.
Yes,
Michael
Steele.
Michael Steele.
Yes. And they after they used him, they got rid of him so fast. Yes.
But same thing. But see, we need to create. We got to look. What I'm saying today, we all need to do research into it. Call back next week and tell me I'm lying because you didn't see it or it ain't what I said. We need to massage all of our quote-unquote so-called Negro history from 1854 to 1875. We need to look at that. And we need to look at it from, we got several enemies. We got a whole cadre of so-called African Americans, Negroes, coloreds, and blacks that don't want to be free because the Moors or freedom is too hard for them, so they don't want it. So that's good. Then you have the European who are using these Negroes not only to play a game with them, which is Negro, color, and black. You'll never be free. We can always treat you as a slave. But they also want to make fun of the Moors so that the Moors don't teach them how to get out from under that trash. Because everything out there belongs to us, Bev.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't forget about the so-called Indians, the ones that they put together in the Confederation. It was a write-up about them denouncing blacks or something last week.
Yes. Especially since Obama was giving up money to those places and gave up land to the Navajo. Now they're going to come out all of a sudden out of the clear blue sky. They don't want Negroes to come and try to get none of this.
Mm-hmm.
But notice they never say no Moors. No law. You have never seen a law against a Moor.
Right.
Now they'll tell you that the Moor got arrested for this, that, and the other. Or they'll tell you that the Moors did something wrong, all of that, and then they'll try and put it in the paper to make everybody think that you don't want to go there. I got this new information from a judge, and all I can tell you now is the judge's name is Judge Dale, D-A-L-E, and it's a book, and it's called Supreme, I can't think of, Educations. But what it is, it's a 126-page book. And this judge is retired. So maybe if you put in Judge Dale retired, this book will come up. Okay. And when it comes up, it's 126 pages, and he goes through everything that I've been telling y'all, everything, and he says it from the Peckerwood perspective. The system is against you people. He even said, which I didn't know, I never talked about, that the courts told Supreme Court or the authorities to be, told the courts, anyone that comes in the court and declare themselves to be sovereign, treat them like a terrorist. Now, think about that. Every state is, you can't get in the union because we set these laws up now. Articles of Confederation, Articles of United States Constitution. Notice they call it United States Constitution. All of them were set up to try and keep the Peckerwood in line. But he circumvented everything. But we do know every state, all you got to do is turn to whatever state you in. Everybody listen. Go online, put the state constitution in. Read the preamble and read Article 1. And I guarantee it's going to say that we are a sovereign state. So if they're a sovereign state, all the citizens of the state has to be sovereign. But the courts say from this de facto 1871 court says if they come in court and declare their sovereignty, treat them like a terrorist. Now,
and I've heard some people say that that's why they got all these terrorist acts and laws in place, not for outside terrorists, but for the Moors.
Yes. And notice the only Moors that the ones that happen here, remember them idiots, them drug dealers, right? How come you ain't heard no more about that?
Right.
Somebody said that they caught both of them, one in Georgia, and he had about $18,000 in his pocket, and they caught the other one, he had about $300,000 in his pocket somewhere. Why was that not put on the news? I mean, they had to see it on the news, but they didn't show it. You dig it? They cannot treat Moors the way they treat, I don't care if they dirty Moors or clean Moors. Let's put it that way. I don't care if they're black Moors or Moors that are black. Let's put it that way. I don't know if that sounds right. But my point is this. They are not allowed by law, world law, common law, to do anything to a Moor. But you got to declare yourself to be a Moor. That's all. And we all turn away from that. And remember what I said. If all Moors are black, but all blackies are not Moors. And those blackies that are not Moors are Negroes, coloreds, blacks, Uncle Toms, Uncle Remus, that type of thing. Also, I'm going to do a show, Bev, on the Indians, so-called Indians.
Okay.
When they took our noble titles, El, Bey, Day, Ali, and Day is 5 of them. They took our noble titles and went out in this community. Now listen carefully. In this community of rejects. So you know I'm talking about the Negroes. And they selected those that were out there that knew about the El Beys, but they were not allowed to use it. Hear me clear. Because the real Moors said, we're going to kill you if you use that word and you're not real Moors. So how do you kill a person? The courts will get him because he's a crook. You see what I'm saying? So So here we go. They're going to take these Moors that know who they should be and give them the title of nobility, but at the same time are going to label those titles Cherokee, Apache, Indian, and put them on a reservation. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Beth. Not only are we going to give you the title and a nationality, we're going to give you your way of life free. What they should have been doing for us, they did for the Indian and the Jew. And the Jew. And then they'll say, well, we didn't know the difference between the Blackie and the Moor. Or we always gave you a program that worked financially, but it wasn't our job. Since we're not lawyers, we don't have to teach you how to be a lawyer, but we have the program in place with the Jews. That's why it's so difficult for Moors to rise, but we're rising every day. But we got to study so much in order to be ready, not only for the Peckerwood, but we got to be ready for these niggas. So they looking for any way they can to destroy us. Because why would a preacher enjoy me when I know he's a lying dog from his heart and he's pimping the people? He's living good. All of his, not all, but his parishioners are living bad. House foreclosure. Can't get them in the street for nothing. And then they expect us to come out and vote. And then they use the lie that our ancestors died so we could vote. What ancestors died so we could vote? My grandparents, I never heard them talk about voting. I never heard them talk. And my daddy never talked about voting. And I'm talking about all the way up to 1955. I went in service in 58, and I could almost swear that none of them voted. I wish they were alive. All the uncles and aunts, everybody's gone. But that was one question I should have asked when they was alive. Did any of y'all ever vote? No. And when Obama come out of Illinois, a lot of voting started then. A lot of blackies went and registered because they saw a whole new rising.
Right. Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying that was the first time they had voted. And these,
See what I'm saying?
Ron.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We have a caller. You want to take a call?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Area code 313-839. Area code 313-839.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I was calling about. I wanted to know, did anyone else saw an article that was on the internet where Obama's wife posted on the internet that she said for all the black peoples to go out here and vote no matter what, long as it's a Democrat, and then go home and celebrate with some fried chicken. Well, guess what? I like prime rib myself, okay? I'm not a chicken-eating nigga.
Answer to your question, no, I didn't see
well,
no, I didn't see that.
On the internet.
No,
well,
I didn't see that.
She made that statement that we should vote no matter what, straight Democrat, and then go home and celebrate with a piece of fried chicken.
Fried chicken. No, I didn't see it. And she made. What? Did you? Wait a minute. Question to you. Now let's get serious for a minute.
I'm serious.
Did you read that, or did you see her say that?
No, I read this, so I'm not saying that she said it because they put stuff on the internet, but it sounds just like her.
All right.
It sounds just like her.
Okay. So there's a possibility that she did not say that.
It's a possibility.
That would be a very yep, and that would be very stupid. And just from what you're saying, that would be, and a lot of people would be angry as hell for her saying that. That would be like the Tiger Woods. The guy told Tiger Woods, "We're gonna eat chitlins tonight because you're the first blackie that ever won them gold." and they fired him. So I'm not saying I don't believe she said it, but I mean,
right? Because it would be all on the news. It would be everywhere.
I can't prove she said it. I even told that to my husband. But the idea that it means to me that she could have said it because, you know, her and her husband like to talk down to us black people.
Yep. Okay. All right. All right. I appreciate your call. Yep. But see, we got to be careful on things like that.
Yeah.
And we got to educate ourselves. And, you know, like, I mean, I want you to go and listen to this guy there. His name is Asir.
Oh, he's been on the show. I know, dude.
Okay. He's got a tape out called The Rise of the Moors.
Mm-hmm.
RISE. Rise of the Moor. The New Moor.
Mm-hmm.
Rise of the New Moor. Okay. You got to listen to it. It's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, he's very deep. Someone in the chat room is saying, I was told that when you're in court, one should reserve your Ninth Amendment rights. Can you go in on the Ninth Amendment rights?
No, I cannot. But I can look. I got my book here. I don't even know what the Ninth Amendment is. So hold on. 1 second. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I got it right here. But I figured somebody might want to bring up something about the Constitution. Where you at, baby? All right. And we're looking for the Ninth Amendment.
Right.
So what could that be? I never even used the Ninth Amendment. All right. I got the 10th. I got the 9th. Okay, the Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Now, if that person is an attorney, I would like for them to explain. Well, it don't have to be attorney. If they got a little more knowledge about it, ask them to put it in there, because this doesn't do much for me. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights, shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Okay. All right, I got it. I got slapped in the face. I got it. Yes, you could use these rights because that's what the courts do. They take certain rights and construe them to deny you your rights.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is yes. That would be, if you're going to send in a invitation, a special invitation that you're coming, you may want to quote the 9th Amendment to let them know that your rights are in the Constitution. So don't try to construe them or deny me the right to use them. But here's the problem with that, and this is something that I'm learning the hard way. Those courts are set up for you to pay. So whatever you come in with, whatever heavy stuff you can lay on them, all they're trying to figure out is a way for you to pay. The courts are nothing more than a bank. That's all they are. And they're there to collect money. This is why, do you notice that nobody talks about plea bargaining? And plea bargaining is let's call plea bargaining ready cash. Plea bargain is a cash cow. Because once you plea bargain, you're going to give up the money and get on out of there. They have won the case. It's going down as a victory for them. They can run on the I was listening to some of those ads they had during this last election for the Supreme Court. They were talking about judges that had won so many cases on sex offenders. Okay, think about that for a minute. Once you catch a sex offender, he's ready to plead right off the bat. How can you plead you're not a sex offender? How you gonna plead? What you see ain't what is going on here. What the hell is that about?
Right.
So the first thing you got to do is set up some type of plea bargain. Now, once you do that, everybody is going to get paid. Because now you're admitting what it is, and you're ready to either do your time, which is money. Because once you go to do your time, you have to sign a warehouse note, just like a promissory note, and they can cash it. Did you know that, Beth?
They can tax you.
Yep. No. CASH. They cash it.
Oh, okay.
Promissory note. Warehouse note, there's a whole lot of them out there. I can't call them all. They're just like food stamps. It's like food stamps.
Wow.
Nobody can tell you how you used to take a food stamp. They got away from it now. You get your food stamps in the mail. You go down and buy a loaf of bread. They turn around, stamp the food stamp with their deposit stamp, put it in their account, and they count all of it'll say cash, coins, stamps. So you got $1,000 in cash. That's how you go into the bank. You got $4 in coins, and you got $200 in food stamps. How do they cash the food stamps? Because the next day or later that day, when you look at your account, you got 100, 200 is 3, and 4. You got $304 in your account. How did it get in there? Because you cash the food stamps. You do the same thing with a warehouse bond. You do the same thing with a promissory note. You stamp it on the back. They call it an endorsement. You stamp it on the back. You sign it, and you deposit it into your account. And the next day, it comes up $100,000 or whatever it was you did that.
Wow.
And then here's another thing. I know a lot of people out there have won or thought they won not a court case, but a lawsuit. You ask, oh, yeah, I got a lawsuit. I got $400. I got $10,000. Good. Okay. Why did they give you the money in a check on the law firm that you had for your lawyer? How did that happen? How are they going to give you a check from the law firm that's on your side?
Right.
How do you know that they didn't give him $10 million and he gave you a check for $10?
Yeah.
This is all I can get out of it. And it's so little. I'm telling you, I'm not even going to take my 2/3 or my third cut. I know you need this $10, so take it home. Tell your wife I said hi. You know what I'm saying? He got $1 million in his checking account. Nobody asked that question because you're so locked in. It's like voodoo. It's like mesmerized. You're so mesmerized on that check. Oh, yeah, you done told everybody, I got $10,000 coming, nigga. You don't know nothing about this. I got 10 talking all that yang. When you go in there and get that $10,000, you ready to buy a Cadillac, be broke in 3 days. But the check is on the law firm. You sued General Motors. You sued Chrysler. You ain't never seen a check from Chrysler. Tell me.
You're right. Why they don't send it directly to you?
That's right. You're totally correct.
We got a couple of callers, Ron. Right. You don't know how much. Okay.
Right.
Area code 586-604.
What's up?
What's up?
Can you hear me? Hey, now.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, real quick, Ron, can you? Hey. Real quick, Ron, can you speak real quick on? I don't know if you know about this, but somebody went in on this. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how some of the more high-profile celebrities get caught up in cases, and the reason why they keep a lot of real estate properties is because they use that to barter their way out of a conviction. The only one I can think of that comes to mind right now is R. Kelly. He got caught on that rape case, and I know that he had to give up some of his real estate, but he didn't really do any jail time. And correct me if I'm wrong, because he might have done some jail time, but I don't think he did any jail time. So can you speak on that at all?
Yeah. I don't know the in or outs on that, but that would be a wise thing to do, because right here in Detroit, the Board of Education gave up the schools to Detroit to pay off the debt that they owe the city of Detroit. So I would think that would be a very wise thing to do if you get in trouble or your wealth is in the buildings. You should always use the building, because now you want to keep your capital free so you can go back into business again. I thought you was going to mention Trump. Trump always gives up his businesses, his buildings when he gets caught.
Yeah, but then he also makes the habit of opening business and getting all the liquidity he can out of it and then bankrupting himself. He from what I understand, it's a constant thing that he does. I'm going to start a business and then file for bankruptcy, get all the money I can out of it, file for bankruptcy to keep his cash flow going. So, yep.
Yes. Yep. So that what you're saying makes sense, but I don't know any inner information on that. But that would be a wise thing.
We'll talk more offline. We'll talk more offline about it, because I can't remember who. There was a couple of lectures I heard, or somebody on a blog talk show or something. They went in on that, and they were naming off all the celebrities that were in some major trouble that you don't get out of doing jail time for, but because they had a lot of real estate, they were able to barter that and lose that versus doing the jail term. But once I get that info, we'll go. I'll go into it with you offline.
But you do know that crimes are commercial. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Every crime you can think of has a price tag. Crime. Up to and including murder. So if you have enough wealth to pay the money, you ain't going to jail. Because everything is about cash, about money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cash.
O.J. Simpson. That's a good example. O.J. Simpson.
Yes.
And then they turn around and took him to civil court to sue him for more money. Yeah.
Yep. But see, he could have won all of that had he not took that pistol to Vegas and threatened that crook that stole his stuff. He got time for that. He didn't get time for nothing else. And I don't even know if that Brown family even all that money they were trying to get. I don't even know if they got that. But
from what I understand, they won that civil case and they did get some money because he had other monies from his movies and stuff. Okay. And they took him to civil court to sue him for that wrongful death.
Okay. But he never would have went to jail had he not pistol whipped that guy or whatever he did. And then they blew it all out of proportion, made him a gangster.
They were out for his head. Yeah, they were out for his head. I believe that was a setup. That was a setup.
And then the lawyer that defended him, he ain't here no more.
And I was just having a discussion about him the other day, Johnny Cochran. I believe that was a job too. I believe that was a job that was done too. Yep.
Well, you can do that to a slave, brother. You can kill a slave anytime you want to. They show you in movies. I was listening to the radio today. They was talking about Peterson. He's going to get off. I wouldn't say off, but he's going to get away from all that crime stuff. But he today said he didn't do anything wrong because he was raised up in a culture in the South. Okay,
good. He got probation or something. In community service.
But here's my point. His culture said, like my culture says, beat the hell out of that little nigga if he don't act right. So you tell him to do something, he don't do it. Beat the hell out of him. Ain't no big deal.
That's right.
We got whooped by the neighbors. We got whooped by the mama. When Mama got home, and then when Daddy get home, you get another whooping. That was all standard.
Yep.
And we learned it from the European, because he used to whoop the daddy to make him act right. And they would whoop him so much that blood would come out of the damn wounds and stuff. Now, when we get hooked on it, the parents, because the mama said if we whooped the son, he would not pluck the pecker wood. It's unbelievable. So you're really protecting the child when you give him a whooping and beat the hell out of him, especially if he's uppity, like I was uppity. I didn't give a damn about nobody. When I was little, Mama said, quit looking at Tim like that. What did I do? You look at him too long. Don't look at him. What? They felt uncomfortable. I was only 6 years old, man. You see what I'm saying? So.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chaos. We got another call. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chaos. All right, yes, caller.
Area code 510-307. Area code 510-307.
Oh, hello. Yes. Could you go back? Someone was asking about the 9th Amendment right to privacy, and I wanted to, and I wasn't sure what his answer was. I think somebody asked me what the meaning of that. What did it mean?
The 9th Amendment. Yeah. Well, I just read it.
Okay, so.
And when I read, go ahead.
Okay, so my
interpretation
of it is that it says the enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That means that there are rights that are explicitly stated in the Constitution.
Correct.
However, rights that are not stated in the Constitution, and so because they're not stated in the Constitution, does not mean that they don't exist. That you cannot deny other rights, like the right to privacy, that has come about since the 1920s. There's different case laws expanding the right to privacy.
Wait a minute.
Won't be denied just because they're not stated in the Constitution.
So you're saying the last part of the sentence says, and others retained by the people. So if it was voted in as a rule, regulation, or law, it still has to be obeyed by the courts. And I agree with you.
What it's saying is that there are certain laws that are expressly written in the Constitution, right? However, there are other laws, there are other rights that are not expressly written in the Constitution. Because those laws are not written in the Constitution does not mean that they shall be denied to the people. They shall not be.
Totally correct.
They can't say, because it's not written there that they don't exist. Yes, they do exist, like the right to privacy. Right.
But the applicable word would be retained. If others' laws are retained by the people. So retain would be the word that you want to study to see if the people voted it in or a people agreed to it. You cannot deny or disparage them from that law. You cannot deny that. Am I saying what you're saying?
It could be to mean that a judge has decided what that other right is through case law.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. It said retained by the people, not the judge.
I understand. So when you have a dispute, you're going to go to court, and the judge is going to interpret the right, and he's going to interpret that, right? So.
Yes.
And so, for instance, like the right to privacy, which has expanded since the 1920s, certain cases have come up, and the judges have ruled, that this is a violation of the right to privacy, or it's not a violation of the right to privacy. For instance, like the Roe v. Wade, the abortion case, or being able to retain porn in your own home. Whether or not students have to go to a public school and can't go to a private school. And there are certain rights that the courts have ruled that those are rights to privacy, and you cannot infringe upon that.
But
there's
but if
a lot of words in that. let me just say something. There are particular words in these amendments and laws, and every one needs to be closely scrutinized. Not just one, but there are a number of words within a phrase. Remember when Clinton?
Yes.
I can't remember what was going on, but when he was being questioned or interrogated, and he said, "Well, that depends on the what the definition of is." Okay.
You know what that was. That Luso chick or whatever her name was. He said what happened was not sex.
It's not just one word in the phrase that needs to be understood.
Yep.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree. And you need the Black Laws Dictionary. If you're going to use that, any law or any case law, you should look it up in Black Laws Dictionary, the words, so you'll understand what they really say. Now, if the judge said something other than what you want to hear, you have a right to appeal that judge. He ain't the people.
And it goes beyond Black Law Dictionary as well. That's a starting point.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I agree.
Okay. I'm gonna let
Thank you, caller.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller.
I like to be arguing with her face to face. She ain't gonna lose no matter what. And I was
right.
agreeing with her. Yeah, I was agreeing with her. She's right. She's totally correct in what she said. Yep.
Okay.
She might be a law student or try to be a law student, but she's right on the money, and I agree.
Okay.
All right, look, it's after 8 o'clock. What do we look? We gone. It's over 8.
Yeah.
So, if there's no more questions, because we might get cut off here pretty quick.
Okay.
But
well, that's
no more, okay.
That's it.
What about the chat room? Everything solved or in the chat room?
Yeah. Everybody left the chat room and got on the telephone to listen.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because the chat room shut down at 12. I mean at 8. Okay, Ron. So very, very interesting as always. And we will be back next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And
thank
when
you.
I get these, and tell that listener with the regiment of Drew's daddy that I'll be back, and I want to be sure they listen so we can discuss that book. I can't think of the name of it. John
Drew Regiment of Mounted Rifles by W. Greg Gaines. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to get into that. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Love and
thank you.
Peace and love.
Peace and
All
love.
Right.
Thank you.